Hi, my name is Lawrence Akers. I'm a hypnotherapist and counsellor here at Bayside Psychotherapy. At Bayside, we do tend to work with a fairly diverse range of presenting issues. If you were to ask me what my speciality is and the ones that I tend to work with the most, I would say it tends to be around compulsive behaviours and substance use disorders. So a lot of work within the addiction space, a lot of work within the anxiety space as well. When I'm asked about what my approach to therapy is, I think it's important to recognize that there is no one-size-fits-all approach that works for everybody. In fact, I see my role as being, during that first session, to help really unpack what's there so we can figure out what the best intervention is for you. In terms of the modalities that I tend to use the most, obviously there's hypnotherapy. Within that, there's things like parts therapy, internal family systems. I've also been trained in acceptance and commitment therapy and tend to use that a lot with my clients as well. What's drawn me to the mental health field? Well, it's going to sound like a bit of a strange response, but I worked in recruitment for many years there, and I always describe recruitment as being one half sales and one half counseling and coaching, depending on how empowered the person was that I would be speaking to. Sometimes they were really quite confident, so it was really about coaching to the next level. Other times I had people crying and telling me about some horrible stories of bullying and abuse in the workplace and working with them on that. And so that coaching counseling aspect really spoke to my values about who I was and what I want to contribute back into the world. And so what really drives me is about helping people to make some positive change in their life and to realize what kind of resources and power they already had that they can bring to these issues. What's the most rewarding part of my job? Geez. I'll give you an example. I recently had a client who had an immense fear of heights. And he was a fairly senior gentleman, lived with it his entire life. Fantastic hypnotic subject, I'll add. And he had one session, and at the end of the session, he actually started crying and saying, I can't believe that fear is gone. And he sent me an email a couple of weeks after that to say that he'd gone to this particular dam that had been an issue, and he'd walked across it not once, not twice, but 6 times, and even stopped at one point just to enjoy the view, and he felt great. When I get messages like that, it definitely is a real reward for me. It helps me to feel like the work that we did collaboratively in that space was what was meant to be, and I'm so happy for him. That's the most rewarding part of my job. Have I had any golden moments in my career? Goodness. I've been doing this 10 years now, and as with any career, there's going to be ups and downs along that way. I just think the consistent golden moment is finding year upon year that we're able to work with lots of really incredible people and to be able to get some incredible change happening. That to me is the golden moments that exist all the way through it. When people come in to see me for the first session, what they can expect during that first session particularly is an opportunity just to sit down and to unpack that particular issue they've come in. Because it's important for us both to really get a good understanding about what the issue is, how does it exist, and what its purpose is. And from there, we can begin to develop some of those hypnotic skills, if that's what the person wants, or we can just find some other strategies that are there that might help that person in finding some relief from that particular presenting issue. In terms of therapy, it's obviously going to depend from person to person. So there might be some things that you would see as more traditional hypnosis. There are some things that might be more conversational hypnosis. And then there might not even be hypnosis if people don't feel like that's the right move for them. I might move towards something like acceptance and commitment therapy. We might engage some mindfulness, some exercises around how we deal with thought. So there's a few different tools that are there. And like many therapists out there, including the ones at Bayside, I like to make sure that I'm keeping up to date with some of the different techniques that are out there and improving upon it, because there's always room for improvement, right? But yeah, definitely no one tool for everyone. As the old saying goes, if the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, then everything starts to look like a nail. You're not a nail, you're a person. You want to be able to make sure that there's a few different tools there that are going to work best with you. Look, my ideal client is someone who knows what change they're wanting to make and who is really committed and ready to be able to make that change. The best way to be able to schedule a consultation with me is via the Bayside Psychotherapy website, where you can check out what my available times are via the online calendar and book there and then. Look, I know that it can feel really challenging and perhaps even confronting and scary to reach out and to ask for help. I assure you, though, that when you do and when you find the right person to work with, there can be a freedom and a liberation that comes from that, to be able to overcome some of the things that you felt were holding you back, and to be able to embrace a happier life, or a more content life, to be able to step into a meaningful, values-driven lifestyle is always a wonderful outcome.